welcome to another video, in this case, a live. And I'm going to do something a little bit different than I occasionally do. I'm just lounging in my bedroom, uh, because it's wet out today. It's going to probably rain most of the day. I would normally be doing lawns or something like that. So this is an opportunity for me to have some downtime because when the weather gets like this, I tend to just use it as an excuse to do little to nothing. We're going to talk live, and I've pushed the invite guest, and I'm hoping I can get Denzel Moss in with me today because I got a real interesting engagement topic to discuss with everyone, and I think it'll be delightful. As the title says, what you see, you don't get with the narcissist or any narcissist. What you see, you don't get. And of course, we're talking uh, prior to being awakened when we were uh, in a fog, when we were asleep, when we didn't know any better. And even some of us now that we know better, we know uh, visually what these people do and how they move. We know academically how they think and how they're wired. But then comes the hard part for a lot of us who are aware to fully awaken because we don't want to let go of the fact or the reality. We don't want to accept the reality that we got played, we got duped. And in a lot of cases, we don't want to let go of what we thought was something good. Say we have two children together, we have a beautiful home together, da 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 da. These are the things that keeps us latched on and justifying staying with a person, and in this case, a narcissist that does not care anything about you the way that you care about them. Now, once you not only grasp that, but you come to terms with that, then you can go on to try to heal and become the best version of you. Because now you don't have that dead weight, you don't have this distraction, and you definitely don't carry around the illusion that they gave you that they are going to try, that they really meant what they said, that they're going to do better the next time. It's a wrap after you realize that these people are wired to set you up and break you down. But back to point, even staying on point, you don't get, what you see, you don't get with any narcissist, whether it's in a relationship, business, um, even many times if you've gone to the doctor, they highlighted something that happens within the medical field, which I talk about that a lot because this is when our inhibitions or our apprehensions or we lower our suspicions, we lower our intuitions, we lower our uh, sixth sense, we lower that 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 funny feeling that something is not right when we go to the doctor or when we go to places where we're supposed to sit right and smile. Doctors, they highlighted something here shortly last year. I think I was listening to it. They highlighted an issue where doctors, in many cases, will gaslight you. And there's a title or label that they give to it. I can't remember what it is, but the doctor essentially makes you feel bad for the fact that you feel a certain way or you have a certain ailment. You're coming to them, telling them what you're experiencing, and they're giving you this uh, reprimand, like you should do this, you should take better care of yourself. It's not in an encouraging way. They're almost chastising you. And you go away from the doctor with the physical ailment. Now you're carrying home a mental and an emotional sickness now. And this is where narcissists move. You can come in feeling optimistic, you will leave feeling disgusted and discouraged. So I wanted to do a live today because I was kind of glancing YouTube, and I happened upon Dr. CB's Widow Exposes Conspiracy, The Truth Revealed. And I've listened to him here or there, and it's amazing in years past. As you evolve looking back at your life, there were things that we would never entertain if someone came to us and told us the things that they're telling us now. Even not just with the exception of narcissists, but it was things that we were not awakened to, nor did we choose to be awakened to, because we were asleep and the Matrix had us that way, and we would rather just go along to get along rather than to elevate our critical thinking and our individual thought process, because we were groomed to be that way. We were groomed to follow. And now we're following in a different way because there are some people that are speaking out and have been. I can go down the line, even though you may not like or endorse these people, I'll just rattle some names off that I began to pay attention to. Not because I like them or I dislike them, but you'll get my point when I tell you who these people are. Once you manifest who you are, look at the man and woman you are, look at who you are, undone as you are. Then begin to look at other people that are movers and shakers in the world, that are being a mouthpiece for change. Then you will begin to respect them a lot more, even though you might not agree wholeheartedly with what they're talking about. I'll give you some names. Dick Gregory, who I was late to the party on listening to. You know, never mind his vulgarities, his racial slurs, and his racial undertone and overtone. Not to dismiss it, but the bigger picture is what I began to see, that this man living in the era that he lived in a time that none of us could ever uh we couldn't conceive it. We could not grasp living back in the times where you had a white and black bathroom. He had some things, it was places where he would perform comedy that once he performed, he had to leave. He couldn't use the white bathroom. Matter of fact, in many cases, way back when in the day, uh, minorities had to go out back and use the bathroom. That's why they call it an outhouse. And I really don't want to believe the Outback Steakhouse was kind of named from that. But anyway, I don't know why that thought came to me. So Dick Gregory, uh, uh, we just passed away here. Kevin Samuels, uh, let's say Donald Trump. And I know that is like salt in the wound for a lot of us because we don't want to embrace these people and these human beings for just being an individual. Mind you, Trump may sound like a kook. He may have his way. He may do things the way he do them. I don't hate or love that man in the way that I've heard some people talk about they hate him and love him. I respect him as an individual. Uh, he may even have strong narcissist behavior and narcissism. Who knows? I've never delved deep enough to even, I never delved deep enough to even come to any concrete conclusion on him with that. But I'll tell you this: everything in society is a game. Everything that we see in our world is an illusion. And if you don't believe what I just said, channel the authentic you, get to know you as a human being apart from anyone around you. Seek to know what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you at peace. And the people that once were in your circle, don't confer with them what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. Gradually do this, not all at once. You don't want to raise any feathers. Just gradually begin to channel who you really want to be. And you'll see the panic in your friends. You'll see the inquisitiveness of what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you not doing this anymore? This is proof in the pudding that when you begin to become a critical thinker, you begin to become an individual seeking your destiny in the world, you begin to look weird. When you become outspoken, when you stand on what you say, when you don't renege or abandon your convictions, whatever they may be, and not look for the endorsement of other people, you will see that is proof in the pudding that you will be despised because you have what you call an individuality. You have a uniqueness that you're at one with when most of us not. Most of us are trying to figure out or find out who we are. And a lot of us think we are just what we are, but we're not. We're someone else. We're living a life patterned after someone else. And that may not be altogether wrong or bad if that person is fundamentally changing humanity for the better. If they are light workers, if they are people who are progressively making the world around them as well as themselves elevate, that is a good thing. But still, at the end of the day, you have to find your individual spot, your individual place and position in life. Be inspired, definitely be inspired. But once you begin to do this, you'll see people start to fall back. Now, back to this point, I just listened to a brief uh, dialogue here, and Sway brought her own. This is not my content. This is not being reproduced. This is just for educational purposes. I'll let you guys listen to uh, 10 minutes of it because what I found this was very interesting. Notwithstanding his demise, it was said to be a conspiracy. But she'll talk to you about some things here. And I didn't used to readily agree or even believe people when they talked in this fashion. But listen to how practical and straightforward she speaks about things, which I believe most of us can comprehend. And if we don't readily agree with what she's saying or believe her, we can vet this kind of stuff now. We can Google, we can go and research stuff through the World Wide Web, which is readily available at the tip of our fingers, thereby making the education process, very, very fluid, very, very fast, faster than it's ever been in any time. So listen to her and see what you guys take away from it.
That was our money. You know, my husband was in his 80s. He didn't want to walk with us, remembering the PIN numbers and all of that. Right. So usually, when we had our crew together, we would, you know, submit paperwork showing, you know, how he has cash in his hand, you know, whether it's to pay salaries or do maintenance on our healing center in Honduras. And the folks who he had put in charge, so I don't know really what happened, they never provided that paperwork for him. Right.
Interesting.
You always have, you know, when you're leaving the country, you always have to show proof of, correct. You know, if you have a certain amount of money over, you know, over $10,000, right. You know, right. No matter what country you're going to or leaving from, if you are over that amount and you don't have proof, they arrest you or, you know, they try and figure out where that money comes from. When my family were in the office, the,
Real quick, I find it interesting that the people who were entrusted to keep tabs on the money and keep the paperwork so that he could get free passage and wouldn't have any hiccups to and fro. Don't you find it interesting the more you elevate, like Dr. Sabi, do you believe that there was strong envy within his own camp because how he spoke and he spoke in a way that may have made a lot of people inferior? Because let's say that you're drinking sodas all the time and he would speak about drinking a lot of caffeine. If your ego is so sensitive, you will right way become hateful if it's strong enough. These people will have a covert disdain for him, and they would deliberately they would deliberately not submit or somehow forget to submit the needed necessary papers. Now, he had all this work to do and he entrusted people with this responsibility. When you are very noted and you have a lot of notoriety, there's a lot of moving parts. You have people you entrust to do this, like a lot of content creators here that have a few million or a couple 100,000 or even 50,000 subscribers. There is so much you cannot do yourself. If you do, it is labor intense and you wouldn't be able to effectively bring content across as fast as you do. So I applaud people with 40, 50,000 subscribers. With the 700 I have, it is humbling. Uh, and I find a way to get back to everyone who comments or has something to say or uh, they ask a question. But bigger point is, it is ironic how they begin to just cut corners and not have the needed necessary papers, and he ended up going to jail because he had on him more money than he was supposed to have. This seems like a setup, and this is just some of the stuff we're gonna go through. The more you elevate, it's lonely at the top, and there are a lot of people that are trying to chop at your ankles. So just wanted to speak on that.
Sorry, Zabe, and Lucia and Pat, when they were there, they would always provide a document before he left. And so when they weren't in the office anymore, that document wasn't being provided for him. So when time came to show it, he didn't have it. And basically,
Anyone who want to
he
chime in
said
on
the
the chat,
document
you
was never
can.
sent until after he had died. Right. And the thing is that what's so frustrating is that that's something that you could easily call an accountant and have them do it like overnight. Yeah. You know, and if people say, "Oh well, where the family?" Well, my cousin Lucia called,
His
and
family is beautiful, by the
told
way.
her, what can we do to get him out? They said, "All we just need is that paper. We don't even want him here in jail." And so she called to the office to see where they can get it, and no one responded. So basically, it was sent after he died. And I still send my condolences to you because I know it's the everyday that you still live with that. But like I said, his legacy still lives on. Lives on.
One of the things that appealed to me about self cleansers was reading up on the work that you guys have been doing as a family and the possibility of having cures for sickle cell blindness, AIDS, lupus, diabetes, herpes, all of these different ailments that plague our society that we don't understand why in 2018 we can send people supposedly to outer space, but we can't cure something that's simple as a common cold.
It is curable.
Yeah, okay.
Every disease is curable. What it is that the body over proliferates mucus, and that mucus is, it appears because of the fact we're eating the wrong things. You cannot eat, like for instance, dead things, and expect your body to respond in a positive way, because once something dies, it begins to deteriorate, rotten turns to inflammation and result uric acid, and that
Case in point, she said eating dead things. Most, if not a lot of people on the earth eat what she referred to as dead things. We eat meat. Those of you that eat meat, I've strongly considered going total vegetarian. It's something I'm considering for a lot of different reasons, not so much because of what she said. But let's take that for example. If Dr. Sabi was talking in that context, don't you know there's a lot of people, even his crew, that were entrusted to do the things that to help protect him and keep him safe so he could pass to and fro unhindered and do his work for the people. There were pharmaceutical companies, like they would talk about here, that sued them to say that they couldn't prove what they were claiming or alleging, and they say here that they did prove it. Now, I'm sure he had a lot. See, when you stand up for something that's not conventional, not only are you going to be met with backlash, but you have to also be ready and acceptant of that backlash and that uh, those naysayers. Because if you don't have your stuff together, you're not going to be able to combat the onslaught of these people and the masses of how they try to crucify you. So she's talking about dead things. Don't you know that that really would offend someone, especially a narcissist? And even not so much always a narcissist. Some of us are not that are not in tune. Like in many cases in my past, things would get me riled up because I wasn't in tune with who I am. I would allow somebody else's opinion to make me feel a certain way or even act a certain way, act out. And emotions is what a narcissist uh, preys on. So you have to ask yourself, even if you may not be a narcissist, I've told you many times before, and I'll continue to tell you until there's no breath in me, a narcissist in the world as a whole are the darkness in this world. They are training well meaning uh, people who would otherwise be healthy, living a life, elevating and progressing. They're teaching those very people as well how to behave like narcissists. And to the point where we began to act like narcissists, and here we are in our world. We've normalized bad behavior. We've normalized evil uh, agendas. We've normalized, uh, you know, get some get back. We've normalized revenge in a way that is barbaric. And so these people very much would have they would have very much had an agenda against him because they're carrying around these weak egos that have been offended by something such as eating dead things, which is beef, meat in general. So either you stop eating meat or stop watching Dr. Sabi. We have choices in the world, but we would rather attack people that are trying to wake us up. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm just kind of laying back in the bedroom. I'm discussing some things, whereas the title is You Don't Get What You See in the Narcissist. What you see, you don't get. You get a lot more, but it's nothing what you intended to get from a narcissist, as we already know. Uh, weta, wet, wet, wetacopia. I got you, bro. I hope you're a guy. If you're a girl, my mistake. They pretend to be offended by something for control, to confuse others, and to upset others. Yeah, it's like not even a musical chairs. I don't want to use that. It is like it is like some would say smoke and mirrors, but you've ever looked at a mirror and you see a person in that mirror and you're thinking they're over to the left, but they're at the right because this is how the mind or the brain uses the left side to see the right and the right side to see the left, something to that effect. So it's very deep as to how these people have uh, they've devised this strategy from a young age to show you exactly what they know you want to see, and at the same time knowing that that thing that they're showing you is an illusion. They're knowing that that thing that they're presenting to you, that you would latch on to it, because what they're doing, they study good behavior, and then what they do based on their bad behavior, they give you what you already are ready to accept. And under beneath the surface, they know that their bad intentions is what will trump your good behavior, because they're giving you that, and that is what keeps you distracted, but not for long. God wakes people up, such as He is us, and we see the inconsistency. That is their Achilles heel. They're so inconsistent. They're inconsistent to a fault. And then their backup plan in their inconsistency is to tell you you didn't see or they didn't do what you just said they did. If it's not that, they'll give you excuses. So they have an arsenal of uh, things in their toolbox. It's like they're carrying around 10 or 20 spare tires of excuses when you and I, we only have one spare tire. I don't even think I have a spare tire. I don't even carry it around. I carry a lot of fixer flat and plugs. Who does that? I don't know. So they carry around all of these spare tires of excuses because, and even their excuses don't sound believable. But you have to understand, they got us latched onto them at the entry level, at the infancy. They got us with their body. They got us with their beauty. They got us with their car. They got us with their house that they might have acquired through the last victim. The very things that they possess when you meet them, they didn't acquire them by their blood, sweat, and tears, by the way. They always acquire things on the back of other people. Some of them, in many cases, I won't say are very smart or very intelligent because all of that is a patterned, mimicked pattern. Some of them go on to be teachers, doctors, professors. Now they know how to robotically repeat. They know how to do this. This is what makes them so. It makes it so bad to. It makes it very difficult to detect them if you're just looking at a narcissist. If you're walking out on the street on a daily, just to look at a person, you would not be able to recognize a narcissist because they blend in amongst everyday people. They blend in among normal, healthy people, well meaning people. When I say healthy, well meaning, good intention people, empaths, chosen ones, people that don't want to impede and intercept other people's progress. Those kind of people. They blend in amongst us. But what you will be able to ace undoubtedly is their behavior, their body language, their movement. And I just said movement, but not so much. Uh, when I say movement, I'm talking, let's say if they're someone that drives up in a sports car. Narcissists will jump out, they'll be rubbernecking, they'll be looking all around as they're trying to get out of this car. And what they're doing is trying to draw you in. They're trying to draw your interest into what they know that fascinates you or appeals to you. They don't care about that Corvette. They just know that that Corvette is what it takes to get you, the innocent victim, the healthy person that doesn't have strong boundaries, that likes a Corvette, just as you should. You can like the things you like, but they use these things as carrots. So what you see in a narcissist is never what you get. So we'll continue with this video here and see what she says. But this is very interesting what she's talking about, the dead meat or the dead.
It begins to heat us up. Now, our body is trying to protect the cells, so it overproduces mucus, and and then that becomes like a catch-22. Now you can't breathe; it's too much mucus in the body. Clogs up your lungs, your bronchos, etc.
Practical teacher.
And the mucus is a carrier of disease, correct?
Of course, it's a great bed for bacteria, viruses, or anything.
Uh-huh.
It's a great bed.
What was it about you guys' research that was so feared by the medical community where you guys would be taking
Takes courage to do this, guys.
for grounds of practicing without
Your life in danger.
What was it that you found, you think?
Well, they said that we were making false claims that it was not true, but we proved that it was true. AIDS, cancer, diabetes, herpes, lupus, blindness, paralysis, etc. And blindness I cured by accident.
Mhm.
I didn't give that lady anything for her eyes. She came from Egypt. Her name is Zainab. I can say this because she testified in the lecture several years ago. And I gave her a treatment. She said that she was feeling well. When I gave her the treatment, she told me she was only going to the bathroom one time a day. Now, if you know my therapy, you'll be going 3, 4 times.
Mhm.
So I made a special cleanser for her. And when I gave it to her after using it, after 3 days upon using it, she called me and she said, "You know, Miss Sadie, I'm seeing shadows." When my knees started buckling immediately, I said, "We're going to jail." Oh my God. I
Such
made
a
it personal
sweetheart.
now. The lady seeing shadows, we're going to jail. So then, well, because I take my own herbs, I kept a little calm, stand down on my stool in the kitchen, and I said, Zena, what does you mean you're seeing shadows? Simple say me, I didn't tell you I was blind. I didn't give that lady anything for her eyes. You see, the main to have great focus, you have to clean the gut.
Just interesting.
When you
The
clean the
gut.
gut, your focus becomes clear.
I've heard about this
Lisa
all
just
over the internet.
The eyes.
yeah,
Okay.
but it comes from here, from the gut. It has to be cleaned in order for you to have, you know, focus.
And she has actually has a similar story with HIV.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah, ask her.
I didn't even know he had HIV. He just told me he wasn't feeling good. He was
It's
feeling,
crazy.
and so I gave him a treatment. And after 3 months, he came back and told me he is HIV negative. Um, he didn't tell me that he was HIV positive.
Uh-huh.
But after 3 months of taking the therapy, he went and got tested double negative.
So all of these claims to have cured HIV,
Now, to make that claim and to say this on national TV,
blindness, diabetes,
wouldn't you think these people after them would
people who are walking
call
around.
them out on that?
Definitely.
Yeah, that can say I was the guy with lupus. I went through their treatment, and now I don't have lupus anymore.
Yeah. We can ask someone. Remember Michael Jackson's babysitter man? Grace Rwanda. The only reason why I'm calling her name because we don't usually everybody is confidential. But she testified in one of our lectures,
Truth tellers.
and so that's why I can call her name. She had lupus,
Uh-huh.
and within 4 days the pain was gone.
And within 4 days.
Within 4 days, because we're really dissolving the inflammation that caused the pain,
Uh-huh.
and also nourishing the brain and central nerve because you'll be stressed.
I don't want to labor you guys with this. I'm sure some of you are very interested in this, but you can go and see the title in your own at your own leisure. Um, this is very interesting. I have not watched it beyond 10 minutes myself, so I'll go later and watch it. I don't tend to get into a lot of herbalists. It's just not that I have a problem with them, but there's so much going on the internet today. And so many people have a vast amount of information and knowledge and insight. So I myself like to be careful and just stick to basic, realistic principles of just, you know, exercising, kind of doing the best I can. But now I'm aging. I believe that God is allowing me to, like, I happened upon this, and I'm not the guy that jumps on every boat that's going down the sea. So with this getting my attention, I just believe everything's ordained and is meant to happen in its God ordered timing. So I'll take this as such. I guess my bigger point is I'm actually going to probably look more into Dr. Sebi. I used to see his face a lot, but I never stopped and paused to watch him all the way through. And there's some things that from this I may take some advice from, you know, here or there, because the gut. There's a guy, a doctor on, I think I almost said Dr. Fauci, but no, there's a doctor that was talking about the gut health, and he has this long infomercial. You probably know I'm talking about. So this word keeps coming back: the gut, the gut, the gut. And she talked about inflammation. We already know inflammation. Inflammation, the body doesn't do well with. So the body has natural things within it to fight off different things like the common cold. But when the immune system gets so weak, we need to introduce things inside of our body to assist the body into helping it. Uh, but those things most often have to be pretty natural. We can take an aspirin for a headache. It's medication. It fools the brain as opposed to doing um, organic therapy, to which I'm going to look into different things because I don't like aspirins. I don't like taking any aspirin, any medications whatsoever. Not to be dogmatic, but I just know, and we all know, everything that we take in this world that is synthetically made, it is just to medicate. It is not to cure. It is not to fix the problem. It's to medicate it. So As the title suggested, or as the title said, I wanted to really talk about what you see you don't get with the narcissist. They are coming on YouTube. There are a lot of content creators talking about everything under the sun. And as an awakened empath and chosen one, what you're seeing a lot of times on these platforms, you're not really going to get what you see. And a lot of us are looking for uh, a refuge. We're looking for some type of therapy to lessen or alleviate the woes that we have, whether it's from a narcissistic relationship or experience. We're looking for self help. We're looking for motivational speakers. Uh, a lot of us are even going over into, fortune tellers, card readers, and all this different type of stuff because in our desperation, we just want the pain to go away. But I'm here to tell you, the pain goes away as you progressively accept that this happened to you, first of all, that it wasn't you that was the problem. You were a problem for the narcissist, but you were not the problem that they said you were because they couldn't tell you the truth that you were too strong. You had too much of a sense of self for them to even tolerate. You made them sick to their stomach. That is why they abused you. That is why they had to get rid of you. That is why they tried to ruin your life. You were too strong of an individual. You had what you call object constancy. You were able to focus and keep your concentration on one thing. They would always come and disturb you when you had your zen, when you were focused and concentrated on something. Look back at the situations. Whenever you had your mind distracted or you had your mind on a task, they're like little kids. They run up to you, interrupt you, then they give you a lame ass, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. The very thing that they say to you is the very thing that they meant to do. They meant to do what they said they didn't mean to do. It's very insidious stuff. And you can look at that person when they give you this half ass, half hearted apology. Like I told you, you'll be able to see not just a crowd of people walking down the street and be able to detect that they're narcissists, because that's not how you will detect and determine. You will be able to match or put up beside their words. You will be able to measure that by their body language. You'll hear all of us say this. Pay attention to how they move in conjunction with why or what they're saying out of their mouth. But you have to be vigilant. You have to watch them as they're saying what they're saying, and then take note of their body language. It won't match. I don't care how hard they try, it won't match. And matter of fact, as you begin to concentrate and give them the eye contact that they so much deserve in order to find out how fake they are, you will see how nervous and jittery they will become. And they will even say in the midst of trying to convince you with their bullshit, oh, why are you looking at me like, why are you staring at me like that? That is to get your that is to take your trance off of them. Your stare, you giving them your undivided attention as they're lying to you bothers them because they can't get over on you with the narrative. The narrative just doesn't work. Now you know why when you stand for the pledge of allegiance, you stand in a crowd of people and everybody's staring at you with their hand across their heart, watching you, wondering if you're going to play along in the reindeer game. This has nothing to do with being patriotic or the lack thereof. This has everything to do with being an individual. To stand for the pledge of allegiance, whether you cross your heart with your hand or not, is irrelevant. Because you don't get on your knees at church and pray like everybody else is, and you stand and you either bow your head or you don't, is irrelevant to your worship and your obedience in God. This is a heart thing. This is a heart thing. So when you're an individual and you're real, you have a certain way you move, and it bothers the narcissist. As opposed to them, what they show you is not what they really are about. So what you see in them is not what you're going to get. But when you become uh, very vigilant in watching them, then when you see them give you what they give you, it is exactly what you're getting. You're getting a frail, scary, scared, petrified child inside of an adult human body. They're scripted. You'll find out that they'll say the same thing in one setting of a conversation. You'll see sometimes they'll say the same exact statement in the same order at least 3 times. This will happen within 10 minutes of a conversation. This is what they have to do. They forget what they should remember. Because when you're lying and you're deceiving people, you have to remember every lie in order to cover the next lie. To the point where you forget the lies that you told. When you tell the truth, it flows. You give different variations of the same story, but it doesn't change the context and the content of the story. So while we're running around believing what we see is what we're getting when we meet these people, we need to just slow down and pay attention. First of all, when we show up, we need to show up for ourselves, with ourselves, by ourselves. And I mean that just the way I said it, show up by yourself, with yourself, for yourself. You have to show up as an individual. And if you show up as an individual, being in tune with who you are, you'll be able to better detect people around you that are inconsistent, non-authentic. Not to say they're always bad, but they're trying to find their way in this world. They're trying to find out where they fit at in the world. Everybody is wishy-washy in the world is not a narcissist. But most of us in this world are wishy-washy. We don't know who we are. And for me, the more I get to know God, the more I become at one with who I was designed to be and who I really am created to be. And it's never a once and done because I'm always trying to understand how I'm designed and what I'm designed to do in this world. And to the point, it becomes so fluid, it flows. I know I am where I'm supposed to be right now at this moment. As before, we're always wondering if we're doing enough in life, if we're uh, measuring up. Are people satisfied with what we've given them as far as our energy, our time, our resources? See, when you become at one and in tune with yourself, you don't ever second guess yourself. You mean what you say and you say what you mean. And you get to the point where you don't always have to be mean when you say it. Someone told me that one time when I was in family court. They say what you mean and mean what you say. Just don't be mean when you say it. And believe me, you, the narcissist, is waiting on your reaction. They want you to react in a hostile, aggressive, mean way, especially after they've loaded you up and gaslit you for that very emotion that they're anticipating. But when you don't give them the desired emotion that they're expecting, it throws them for a loop. It throws their plans uh, all out of whack. And Wedicopia says, as you guys probably are able to see, with each relationship they have, they take on some of that person's attributes, but it's all image without substance. Yeah, a lot of us have come to this conclusion, and you won't get any arguments here. They are reflecting back to you when they, as soon as they meet you, they're doing what Arnold Schwarzenegger did in Terminator. You remember the thing was in his head and he was scanning people? This is what a narcissist does. Now, it makes you wonder, were the creators of Terminator narcissists? Hmm. This is why people are able to create, and they could have been empaths, empath director. Okay, I didn't give that any thought. You know, damn, giving the narcissist credit for anything good, even a good movie. That movie was deep when we look at it in an awakened state. When we look at Predator and in a post awakened state, we see that this is what Hollywood and the ones who created this behind the scenes are either trying to awaken us up to, or trying to get us to normalize this. It's either one or the other. But for an empath chosen one that's awakened, post awakened, we see this movie just for what it is. We see this in respects to this is how narcissists move. Without that intel, they have no clue on what to do next. And when you rid yourself of their space, when you go no contact, this is what it does to them. They're at a crossroads, they're at a dead end. They don't know what to do next. So, what they often do, and they're doing it when they meet you anyway, they begin to go on an onslaught of uh, disparaging you, discrediting you, smearing you at an all time high. Because what they need to do is get to people you know, or people they know that you're going to be affiliated with. They go ahead of you and tell these people all kinds of atrocious things, most of which don't even add up to who you are as a person. Because the average person who are listening to these people, who the narcissist has insulated themselves with in times past, if they had half a brain and critical thinking, they would know that what this person narcissist is telling them doesn't match up with who you are. But makes it so effective is they go to the unassuming person, the narcissist does, your friends and family, and they load them up with the narrative that is so overwhelming, until what it does is it talks the person out of what they should be critically thinking of. Just to break down what I just said, if a person comes to you and tells you, oh, Machismo is pedophile, boy, you didn't know that? You heard what I just said? Machismo is a pedophile. You didn't know that? That narrative right there causes the person not to second guess you. It doesn't cause them to second guess the narcissist. It causes them to push their intuition or their critical thinking out the window. You didn't know that? It's an illusion. It is the mouth quicker than the brain. They're talking to the person, the recipient, and the recipient doesn't have time to create a critical thought process, because the narcissist is loading you up with this stuff. And a second part of this is by the narcissist giving you this dirty, filthy information about machismo that is totally untrue, unfounded, can't be substantiated. You're looking at the narcissist as the bearer of good news. So you're really subconsciously pledging allegiance to the narcissist because you think that they just came and gave you some news that you wouldn't otherwise have known. So in your subconsciousness, you're actually thanking them, putting them in a good light as they put you in a bad light. So now you're pledging allegiance subconscious. All of this is happening in your subconsciousness because you're not critically thinking, Calvin's not like that. He'd be in jail if he was doing that. You're not able to form this critical thinking because what they're doing, they're dousing your critical thinking with all these atrocious allegations of machismo. And at the same time, giving themselves the appearance of being the good guy. This is this is how it works in a nutshell. So Post awakening, knowing who these people are, knowing how they move, knowing that they are negative, low vibrating human beings in a demonic state, you're able to, when they show up, most first of all, stay away from negative communication. The Bible said evil communication corrupts good morals or good character. When you're around people who are talking very, very negative about anything, if you're around people who are just talking negative about Trump, negative about Biden, stay away from that kind of stuff. It doesn't serve you. All the thing it does is seek to put more things in your mind that you have to distract you from your goal and your potential. You have to clean your spiritual gut of all this negative talk. Watch the movie. Be mindful of the movies you watch. Be mindful of uh, some of the TikToks, some of the YouTube shorts that are sought to make you laugh. I'm guilty of watching a lot of things that I know that don't feed my spirit in a good way. Am I saying that it's okay that I'm strong enough to look past it? No, I'm not. I'm saying that these are the things that we shouldn't readily gravitate towards. We should try to feed our spirit and our soul with things that are progressively uh, healing, nurturing, nourishing. Even when you listen to commercials that are for advertising sale of something, say a piece of commercial, if you have a lot of narcissistic, uh, obnoxious, loud yelling and screaming in these commercials, one has to conclude that this is stuff that you're trying to get away from. You were in a relationship that was toxic when it was always yelling and screaming. Don't you think it's best that you minimize that kind of content as best you can? As best you can. We're not talking about running away from reality because there is really no way to get around all of the stuff that you see in society because obnoxiousness, loudness, disrespect, all of these things are normalized. But do as best you can because you'll find that that will help elevate your vibration. It will make your life a lot more tranquil. It will make your life a lot more at peace. And you will be able to gather your thoughts a lot better. You won't be sitting around discombobulated, forgetting what you went to the kitchen for. Because as you have escaped from narcissistic abuse, a lot of times this will take years for you to be able to get your train of thought back to where it was and to get it in a normal state where you're able to concentrate better. But the more you consume yourself with the things that I'm talking about that will promote good thought process, critical thinking, the more you will see your train of thought go from bad to better. It will improve. Your peace of mind will improve, and your health will improve. So this live has been just for that. Uh, what you see, you don't get with a narcissist. And there are many other facets of life where these people will come in and do this kind of stuff. They'll come in and give these illusions. They'll come in and set you up and show you exactly what they want you to see, but you end up getting none of it. And so just concentrate on you, focus on the things that will promote and elevate your health, elevate your conscious and critical thinking. So you'll be able to form your own opinions, stand on them. And this is probably the only platform you're able to come to and talk and speak outright about anything regarding your inadequacies and your insecurities, times past, present, and going into the future. Because nobody, for the most part, other than empaths, chosen ones that care or either are interested in this kind of stuff in a real way. they're not interested in it. If they are interested in it, it's to turn a dollar. It is to sensationalize and bring attention to themselves. There are only a few people in this world that have found out the key to life and what they're here for. And those people are chosen ones and empaths. We come to right the wrongs. By the grace of God and the strength that He gives us, we're going to do that. So be of good cheer, guys. Until the next video, blessed.